So up till now, our review has focused on specific topics like regression or zeros, axis of symmetry. But now we're going to look at some more traditional algebra review. A lot of this, not all of it, but a lot of it is going back to the fall because it's been so long ago. So in this video, I will go through some problems on pages 1 through 4, enough so that you can get through this work, or at least try. This was from last year, and the directions haven't changed. Some people were remote, so it talks about submitting your work on Google Classroom. Don't worry about that. We're in a more typical year now, so we're good to go. I will go through most pages and do 1 or 2 types from each section, and then you will practice the other type. So for number 1, it says evaluate each expression and show your work. So it says, what is the value of the expression when x equals 2 and y equals negative 3? Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. When I zoom too much, my picture thing goes away. So we could store 2 in for x and negative 3 in for y, but we're showing our work for this. So I'm going to rewrite this, but instead of 4 times x, I'm going to write 4 times 2. That's a minus because it's in between the two terms. 2 times negative 3. So now if we did PEMDAS, order of operations, we would do 4 times 2 is 8. Now we have a minus and a minus, or a negative and a negative. That becomes a positive, plus 6. And 18 plus 6 is 14. Now, what you could do is also put this in one step and see, make sure that your logic works, and you get 14. Down here, the formatting wasn't so good. That's an x squared. X squared plus 3x minus 6. So you're going to finish these 2 problems as part of your homework. Now, let's see what we got down here. So this section is combining like terms. Terms are separated by plus signs and minus signs, and they have the same letter and the same exponent. So a lot of, this was typed. You can see that these signs right here, these minus signs, aren't super big, but that's just the formatting. Those are subtraction signs. So for question number 1, we have a 12R. There's no other term with an R in it, so that comes down here. Then here, we have a minus 8 and a minus 12. If you put this into your calculator, remember minus and negative are the same, but your calculator will not let you put a subtract 8, subtract 12. You're going to freak the thing out. So what you have to do, instead of using the subtract symbol here, use the negative symbol, and that will give you negative 20. So for my answer, I'm going to write 12R minus 20. I want to do this one with you guys. Whoops. Okay, I guess it skipped right to it. That's an x squared. So we have 3x squared plus 4x minus 6 minus 2x squared. So I have a 3x squared and a minus 2x squared. 3 minus 2 is 1x squared plus 4x minus 6. So you are going to finish this page on your own. Let's move to page 2. So these are solving equations. You're going to do the first one on your own, but one note, this equation, I would say 3 plus x divided by 4 equals 13. Remember, when you solve equations, you are doing opposites. Let's just do one of the harder ones. Let's just do the last one, for fun. So here's my equal to bar. And if it was an inequality, it would be the same thing. So there's parentheses here. I have to get rid of those parentheses. So I am going to distribute. 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times 1 is 4. and then equals negative 8x minus 2. So our job is to get the x's onto one side and then the plain numbers onto the other side. I like to put my x's on the left, but it really doesn't matter. You're doing the opposite. So I'm going to take this minus 8x and add it. Whatever you do on one side of the equation, you do on the other side. That's called the additive property of equality. So that goes away. 8x plus 8x is 16x. Now I'm going to bring down plus 4, and I have to bring this guy down as well. Equals a negative 2 or a minus 2. Oh, we're going to get a fraction for this. So now I'm going to minus 4 on both sides. So 16x, 16 times x, because I brought that guy down. Negative 2 minus 4. Remember to use this negative symbol. And your answer is negative 6. Oops. So our last step here, we're going to divide by the number in front of the x, divide by negative 16, or I'm sorry, positive 16. If you put this in your calculator, you get a decimal. And if you put this as a fraction, you're going to get negative 3 over 8. So that's hard enough. If you look at all of these equations up here in this section, there are no exponents. Down for number 4, there are exponents. Both of them have, an exponent of 2 and an exponent of 2. So when you see an exponent, you can't solve the regular way. What you have to do is the quadratic formula. So when you have exponents, you have to use quadratic formula. Good news is, well, good and bad. Bad news is, let's do the bad first. It's tricky. Good news is they give you the formula. So here it is. Write this down on your paper. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. And wherever you see letters, we're putting parentheses. Okay, that's where we're substituting stuff. We're going to do the first one and then together, and you guys are going to do the next one on your own. So we have 1x squared plus 6x plus 9. In this case, our a is 1, our b is 6, and our c is 9. So I'm going to write my quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. And this whole side is over 2 times a. Make sure you write this. That way, if you make a mistake, you can still get a few points here and there. Okay, so I wrote my equation. Now I'm going to substitute my numbers, just like we did on the previous page when we evaluated. So x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root 6 squared 4 times a times c. Well, this is a weird one. All over 2, oh no, it's not, 2 times 1. So now we're going to evaluate what's inside the square root symbol. Not with the symbol, just type what I circle in orange. 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9. Actually, you get 0. Well, that's odd. Who made this problem? Negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 0 all over 2. And the square root of 0 just goes away. Okay, normally you might have a square root symbol there. So our answer would be, if you had to write this out, oh man, come on. I guess I'm not changing my color. Negative 6 plus square root of 0 over 2, and negative 6 minus square root of 0 over 2. But since the zeros aren't there anymore, it's the same answer. So it's x equals -3. Practice substituting those numbers into the quadratic formula. Yeah. And 3 and 4, there's only 4 problems total on here. There's just lots of room for you to work. We can do 2 on this page. Okay, inequalities. So these are just like equations, except there's the alligator mouth. And remember, the alligator mouth bites the bigger number. So when we want to solve these, let me bring this down. You put your little dotted line, just like we would do with an equal sign, and you're going to get x by itself. So I'm going to add 3 on both sides because you do the opposite. Then 4 times x is greater than or equal to 8. Since it's 4 times x, divide by 4 to get x by itself. So x is greater than or equal to 2. So now we have to graph this on our number line. We put a circle on the 2 and we color it in, Here's our equal to bar, no soup for you. The arrow goes, this arrow right here points to the right, so this arrow points to the right. So there's our answer on a number line. And now interval notation. We have to put 2 numbers, the left number and the right number. Okay. So this first number is a 2, and then the arrow means infinity. You don't need to actually put these lines here. You can. And then when the circle's colored in, you do a square bracket. When it's not colored in, you do round. And you can never color in infinity, so that's always round. Let's move down. Try to. Okay. This one's a little bit tricky. That's why we're going to do this one together. Remember, this is a positive 8 here. So I have 8 minus 2x is greater than 16. So we're going to subtract 8 on both sides. The negative 2x is greater than 16 minus 8. So it doesn't seem like a big deal. We're going to divide by a negative. But when you divide by a negative, your symbol flips. So see, it was like this, and now it's like this. So I'm going to put a circle at -4. I'm not going to color it in because there's no equal to bar. There's no bar under here. And now my arrow points to the left. So when I do my interval notation down here, we start with a negative infinity, remember, because it's going to the left. So round, negative infinity, and then our rightmost number is -4. And that's going to be rounded because that dot's not colored in either. So your homework is pages 1 through 4. Remember, we only have a week left of school, so you have to do your absolute best on your homework. Give it your all, guys.